Who wants to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm good, thanks, Tom. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Yeah, but yeah, it's a shame not to be able to make it. The Trays didn't really play ball last week, so excited to get back in person this Friday.
Yeah, good. It'd be good to see you down there. It's a long trek up to Newcastle as well. You just think it's in the north, and it is, but I think Bath's closer.
Is it?
It is. It takes you like
70 odd miles.
It was. I think it was one of the longest days I've had in recorded rugby history. It was a 21-hour day on Friday night, but well worth the time spent.
Well, yeah. What were your takeaways from that game? What was Monday's review like?
Measured, tempered. There was some really good signs of what we've been working on, Tom, over the last few weeks, even without the internationals, and a confidence and an excitement around what we did with the ball in hand. They were the plus points. Still looked strong defensively and physical, but on the other side of that, we realised that against other teams who have a greater transitional attacking threat, we can't afford to give them opportunities to put pressure back on us, and by that I mean our skill execution in the second half and the wider channels needs to improve.
Yeah, of course. Did you think there was an opportunity to probably sort of stick a few more points on them, or how was that sort of looked back upon, given that you sort of came into half time with the ascendancy?
We know you have to always have to start fast, don't you? But especially up there at Newcastle. So I thought, it was good that we went for the 3 points and built the score. Obviously, we got that one try disallowed through the call off the kickoff, and there was probably another one or two. We read here, a ball goes behind him, and a maul where we're 5 metres out. We need to convert in that rather than just wanging the ball out to the wide channels and getting turned over there as well. So there's some clear opportunities there where we could have got another couple of tries, and if we want to be competing, we need to be doing that. We need to be executing. Yeah,
and just looking at a couple of individual performances, how good was George Ford? I suspect you knew that was coming, but how good was he on Friday?
Well, that's the other thing, Tom. You can get too involved in the review and where you need to be better as a team and overlook some of those returning internationals who just seemed like they hadn't been out of a sales shirt for the last 3 months. Fordy, by his own admission, said he felt like he's had a pre-season, so he feels really fresh, really fit and very motivated. But carried his momentum from that Wales game into the Newcastle game. He was exceptional, coming off his right foot and some of his power running and offloading skills. Bevan Rod, rounded as centre, said that after the game for his try. Who else? Yeah, Ben Curry. Geez, he was great as well. He topped all the stats again. Like 12 carries and 19 tackles. So it's always that's the biggest win and the most positive thing, Tom. Like making sure they're coming back in, that they're part of the group again, that they're performing in a sales shirt, and they haven't left a bit of themselves back in the Six Nations. So that was the most rewarding thing about last week. Now it's getting better. Just let's get better at it.
Yeah, of course. Is George someone you'd be backing for Lions' chances? I know obviously he didn't play a whole lot in the Six Nations, but a lot is said around Sale, especially in the game weeks that he's not playing, that he sort of steps into a coaching role, and that can only be useful on the sort of short turnaround that they have to bring things together. So, what do you make of his chances with that?
Yeah, it's difficult to know of his chances, but I know he's been talked about in those circles. He's got some tough competition. He's a proven, experienced player with 99 caps. He's clearly still playing some of his best rugby. And when you want people to bring a group together, to get them on the same page, to drive aspects or principles on the training field, there's none better. There is no better person in the game, from my experience, having worked with a couple. He's the best of them. So he'd have my vote, but I'm no Andy Farrell. So we'll see what what call he makes.
Yeah, and just last one on him. Have you spoken much to him about how he's reflected on the Six Nations? As you say, he felt like he had a pre-season, but I can imagine, it must have been very frustrating for him not to have played as much as he'd have liked, especially when he's come in and then performed so well at the end. Have you spoken much to him about that?
Not too much. He's not one to vent. He's able to reframe himself very quickly. It's part of his super skill, I guess. So with other people, you have to go through a process and understand how it felt, and shift the goalposts for them, give them some achievable targets for them to attain coming back in, simplify what they're going after, make sure it's right for Sale, not what's right for England. There's none of that with him, so it's far easier. Like, it's pretty simple. He just wants to play his socks off. He wants to show them, maybe what they were missing or what the lines to be getting. That's his target. But for us, and he's great. Like, his focus is no further than the weekend always, and he brings me in check on that. I get quite fanciful at times, looking at a big picture and what we want to achieve. And he's like, well, it's about Friday night. Our focus can't be further than Friday.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of those chats and moving the goalposts, as you say, is that something you've had to do with a couple of other guys coming back, like your Bevan Rods, Ashley Poppy, Four Jaws, maybe Tom Roebuck as well, even though he had a successful end to the tournament? Is that conversations you've had with them then?
Yeah, gratefully, we've got a good relationship with England and the England coaches, having played and worked with them over the years. So, like, Steve Borthwick's in today. We've sat down and gone through all their IDPs to make sure we're streamlined with what they want and we want. But always try and get round them, get down the internationals and that first week back, go for a walk, check in with them, see the feeling. So make sure the environment is one that they feel comfortable in again. And the telling sign was, like, I met with the game drivers, we call them, and George and Ben Curry were two of them, two guys I haven't really sat face to face with for the last 7 weeks. And we speak about mentality and attitude and language and what it's going to be for this group for the week, given the threats that Newcastle face. And then we go through the week and any suggestions for improvements. And straight away they were like, well, can we not change this session here? Can we not do a single day rather than a double day, do it on a 4G? So they had some really good suggestions from the off. They weren't just coming in and letting me dictate. They were coming in and automatically taking control. That's when you know they're in it. They're on it.
Yeah, well, how's that gone for this week? Obviously, that would have been maybe, I don't know who those game drivers are, but obviously a couple of other internationals coming back ahead of Saints. Are people reading too much into their performance on the weekend, or is that sort of being looked at as a bit of a blip and sort of not to take it for granted sort of thing? What are the reflections of Saints' performance against Leicester?
Yeah, Leicester were really good. Saints look a bit scratchy by their standards. And they're a smart team and they're a proud team. And we caught them on their ground after a couple of big losses, smarting a team on the rebound. So we're well aware of the threat that they'll possess this weekend. Look, you can't predict what they're going to do, but we know they're going to be better for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then, I can see Kieran's not here, so I have to ask about the Jackson Bermudan side.
Oh yeah, it was one conversation. Like, it was one of the easiest recruitments that I've ever been involved in, because he's such a top bloke, and we were just like buzzing off what we're trying to do and where we're going to try to take the squad, how we play the game, how he fits into the game, how we can improve his game, what he does outside the game. Like, I've conceded that he can play cricket in the summer, that he can go to the driving range with Luke Kandicki every other night, and he's that kind of a character. He's an infectious, really contagious, energetic character. And then it was like, right, who do we need to speak to on this? And normally, like, the players go, I need to speak to my wife, I need to speak to my agent, I need to speak to my parents, or I've got a brother. He's like, no one. I am the sole decision maker, and I want to come. I'm like, right, let's get the auto sign up. Let's get it done over the internet now. And it was that easy. So normally it's quite protracted, and that's when you hear about them, isn't it? Oh, it's 3 or 4 weeks down the line, and it slips, and an agent says something. It was done there and done, dusted in the meeting.
Yeah, of course, and then it did seem like a very good fit. So yeah, it's good news. And then just lastly from me, are you able to say which players have come in and out of availability just ahead of this weekend?
Yeah, Luke's back. Tom's back.
Yeah, and then injury-wise, is there any changes to what would have been said last week?
No, we came through strong. We came through well last week. A couple of niggles here or there, but nothing that's going to impact our selection at this point. Only the mandatory rests. Yeah, so you've got to read between the lines on that one, and it's the same for them. Yeah,
do you know if Rafi's got a date that he's expected?
Yeah, post Toulouse we're looking at the moment, but he's running well. Or maybe Toulouse. Maybe Toulouse at a push. No, it is. Yeah, maybe at a push. I was told Northampton, but that's just it's taken an extra couple of weeks. We'll see how he runs next week.
Yeah, Sam. Well, that's all from me. I'll see you on Friday.
Thanks, Tom. See you then.
Cheers.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Is that Adam? Yeah.
Yeah. Just on George. I know you weren't coaching him at the time, but have you got any theories about why he wasn't in Lions conversations in 2017 and 21? I know there's some good tens around at the time, but just seemed a bit strange that he was never sort of thought of.
Sexton, Farrell, front runners. I can only imagine.
I mean, when Bigger got injured in 21, they called up somebody who never played a Tier 1 test, you know.
Yeah, no, it's my memory doesn't stretch back that far. Not in terms of detail. You're better off telling me. Who was in the squad at the time? You'd say Bigger got injured.
But 2021, Bigger got injured, and Russell got injured early on, and they called up Marcus Smith when George was flying for England.
Yeah, I can only think that you can afford to be subjective, can't you? At international level, like we've got a squad. You look after that squad for 2 or 3 years, or however long the contracts are, but you want to keep them together. You can pick up and drop players on a whim to a degree at international level, but not at club level. You've got to be able to manage them through the season.
Yeah, sure.
So it must be down to just playing styles at that point. I can only imagine that.
Yeah.
Was Faz? Who was the Lions coach then? Was it Faz or was it Gatland?
Gatland.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gatland. Gatland both times.
This might be the one, mightn't it? This might be the one that gets some.
Well, yeah, I was just interested as to why he was never sort of thrust into the conversations at the time. And when you're people talk about the gap between international and the Premiership, when your players come back from England, do they say it's growing or getting smaller?
Growing. What do you mean in terms of enjoyment, motivation, performance?
No, I mean, is the gap in the standards growing, or is it shrinking?
International to Premiership.
Yeah, there's been a bit of chat that some of these blowout scores don't help prepare players for Test rugby.
Oh yeah, that was the conversation more towards. I mean, it's happened now again, hasn't it? But at the start of the season, there was this all-out attacking mentality from a few clubs, and everyone was kind of leaning in towards it, and then you were getting like real big score lines. Although we need to improve our attack, and I've mentioned that a few times, and the intent was there at the weekend, I've never gone down that route, because I never thought it's actually winning rugby when you get to the playoffs. It does on occasion, like Northampton kind of showed that last year, which has maybe affected people's perception. And Quinn's a few years before that, but they're generally the exception, not the norm. Yeah. You know, you've got to manage games well, you've got to be super physical, the set piece has got to be strong, your defence has got to be up there, and you've still got to be able to execute on the back of all those things. And it's not just a game of being able to outscore opposition teams. And it might change with rule changes and directives, but thankfully, it keeps it a contest on many levels in that regard. That was the case. I know speaking to Michael Checker, he was like, I can't believe how much teams are running it. I can't believe how, to some degree, it wasn't his words, but the context was like suicide rugby. It's score at all costs. I don't think the last weekend was a reflection of that. I just think the last weekend you get teams who have come off the back of different preparations in that 7 weeks. Some a bit more scratchy than others, some at form earlier than others,
sure.
and then you're chasing games and scores blow out. I do think all those teams that started the season with all-out attacking intent have actually shifted their game models as well. Gloucester being one of them. Like, they kick a lot more. Bristol do to a degree. Northampton actually kick the most. Believe that or not, they kick more than any other team, statistically speaking, in the Premiership. And yet they're seen as this attacking team. So, no, I think the Premiership, as competitive as it is a very good not breeding ground, but certainly a means to prepare for international rugby. Because of the set piece, are strong, defences are good, and every team's competitive.
Thanks, mate. Good luck Friday.
Thanks, Adam. Who wants to have a go? Have I bored you all off in the 20 minutes?
I'll have a go. I'll send you to sleep, Alex.
Go on, Paul. What have you got?
In the long break that you had, did you reflect on why you were, almost unbeatable at home, but suffering big blowouts on the road? And was the Newcastle game a reflection of what you came up with?
We did reflect. We didn't really take it into home and away. I mean, we spoke about it. We looked at our ability to prepare individually and collectively. Is there anything we can do as a coaching group, but also administratively in terms of travel, when we travel, how we travel, breathing the night before, potentially coffee mornings the day of to get them out of the hotel rooms, all of that, which we do quite a lot. Most of it was just around the gaps in our game model and our KPIs, of which we have 35 of them, the consistency within them, and what factors led to those inconsistencies and how we could improve them. Part of it's personnel as well, Paul. Have to look at some of those teams that went on the road. On a few of those occasions, we're missing some key personnel.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, clearly to get into that top four, Alex, you've got to be better away than you were in the first part.
Yes, the majority of these games in the running are away.
Yeah.
And by the very nature of semi-finals and finals, given our position, they'll be away.
Yeah.
So we've got to start performing and winning away. I reckon, you look at it, probably 5 out of the 7 or 4 now out of the 6 we've got to win with bonus points. There's 3 away games in there because all those teams that are above us we play for the most part, barring Bath. And a couple of those teams who are above us play each other. But it's arbitrary. You can't start targeting games in this period. You just got to go out and win them all.
But with the you look at the team you can put out, Alex. I mean, you shouldn't be worried about where you play.
Yeah, there's a confidence there that if we do that, then we're gonna be able to compete and beat anyone. There's a challenge of putting that team that we're able to put out consistently over potentially 9 to 11 games, depending on how we do in Europe. That's a long stretch. They tend to burn out by about 7. So there's got to be a bit of rotation and game management within this running.